Hello, YouTubers. This is Mama K. I was washing dishes earlier. Let me get all comfy. Uh, I was washing dishes earlier. I was thinking, you know what? I don't hardly ever YouTube lately. I'm trying to put my hair down for once. I know I don't ever do it. I always got that ugly old ponytail, as my mama says. She hates my hair in a ponytail. Anyways, I was gonna vlog today, aka Dear Diary. I was gonna call it Dear Diary. This was gonna be my first official Dear Diary, but that'll have to wait because I was washing dishes and I got to thinking so many thoughts about people and how people that supposedly are Christians complain so much about other people doing unchristian things. And I know I'm not perfect. I know I've judged people before. I'll be like, man, they just don't need to eat that. Or they just don't need to wear that. You know, you're human. You're going to have judgmental thoughts on occasion. Hopefully not often. But and people sin, period. But what I find is there are some people I've been around several times, and they don't just judge for once in a while by happenstance and it slips. They do it often. And some people, I don't know how much they do it, but I know that the one time that I seen it happen, it was really harsh. Like this is not something they've not done before. And it just gets me thinking, like, man. And it's been happening since I was a kid, you know. So I've always been one who, I don't know if I've said this before, but when people say, who raised you? I say myself, because I was a child who was brought up around a lot of adults. When adults got together, I was always right there with them. I watch how they interact. I watch how they behave, because they just seemed more cool than kids. A lot of times they had stories to tell, whereas kids don't normally have cool stories. They've got made up stories, and I don't like fake stories. Not saying adults don't make up fake stories, but as a kid you don't think that they do. So, and before you judge anything I'm about to say, you don't say nothing if you don't finish this video first. Because if you didn't finish this video and you have something to say to me, I'm probably not going to respond. Because I don't have time to respond to people who didn't even have time to listen to this whole video. Because sometimes it may sound like I'm going one place, but you didn't listen to the whole thing. And then, unless you've listened to the whole thing, you may not understand where I'm going with some things. Heck, I don't even know where I'm going with it half the time. So, excuse me, I suffer from sinuses. Ooh, that's strong. Just bought some coffee today. Never had chock full of nuts, but I made it strong, and it's a dark roast too. So, on behalf of my fellow Christians, sisters and brothers, I want to apologize to non-Christians and to my fellow Christians and sisters and brothers. I want to ask y'all to do something for me. I want you to sit down and really think hard about the things that we judge. I know a lot of the number one thing is people tend to judge people who are gay or bi, whatever. People tend to judge those who are transgender or transsexual, whatever the heck, you know, culture calls it right now. And the proper way to go about this is a post I just saw on Facebook. It was a church got in trouble apparently for a sign that they put up saying, culture may change. A man can turn into a woman, and culture may change what they call it, but the Bible doesn't change. That is true. However, yes, although if you were born a man, you can change all your body parts on the outside to appear as female. But just because it appears female does not change your internal. I get that. So yes, in culture, it may be socially acceptable to now call them female. They still are not female 100% through and through, inside nor outside. They have to continuously always alter their body on a day-to-day basis, whether it be plucking hair or altering their estrogen and testosterone. There's always going to be something there. But that does not mean that you can go and take someone who is transgender and just shove that in their face. Like, obviously, if you're coming to this video, you sought me. But I'm not going to go seek out someone who is transgender. And I'm not going to sit there and get in their face and shove the Bible down their throat. I'm sure someone in their lifetime has told them about God. And if not, they found this video, possibly. Who knows? All you can do is plant a seed. Either it'll grow or it'll die. Your job as a Christian is only to plant a seed. Is to teach people about God. That He exists. And that there are good things out there. It is not your job to shove religion down people's throats. It is not your job to tell someone that they are wrong. It is not your job to judge. I do believe that one of the things in the Bible that the great man said was, do not judge others, lest you be judged first. Something along those lines. Again, I'm not perfect, therefore I cannot quote 100%, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And I see too many people who are going, that's just nasty, that's just wrong. If God wanted two men to lay together, blah, 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 blah. Well, Becky, I don't know if you know this, but did you not know that from what I understand and what I've read, all sin in His eyes are equal? And if this is true, then murder is just as bad as a man lying with a man. And you know what also is equal as a man lying with a man? Is a woman lying with a man out of marriage, out of wedlock, before you even get hitched. And people forget that. It had become socially acceptable to sell sex and to have sex before marriage. So many kids are trying so hard to just sleep with anybody because it's fun. People forget that the whole point of sex is to procreate. And that's why there are so many kids. Because when you do finally do it for fun, sometimes you accidentally get pregnant. Out of stupidity. Because you didn't want to wear a condom. You didn't want to take your birth control. Or you didn't want to check the date on the condom. Sometimes I get those things don't work because A, you didn't stay up to date on your shots. Or B, you tore a condom and wasn't careful with it. And C, because you wanted to play the pull-out game, whatever it is your excuse. A, if you just wouldn't do it to begin with when you're not married, it wouldn't happen. But that's here nor there. I just want people to understand that do not judge a lesbian or a gay man, anyone who sleeps with the same sex, if you yourself have had sex before marriage. Doesn't matter if you're not doing it anymore. It only matters if you've done it one time. Whether you've sinned twice, or sinned once, or sinned 100 times, they're all the same. Do not judge someone for sleeping with a man. All you can do is ask them, do they believe in God? If they said yes, you've already got your answer. They know the rules. They know the game. Doesn't mean they're following the rules, but that's all you need to know. If they've said they believe in God, they believe in God. And your job, you can try to teach them about God if they didn't, if they had said no. But if they say they believe in God, and you meet someone and you see that it's two men, and all you can do as a person is be like, do you know about God? And if they say yes, just be like, all right, bless you, have a nice day. But what you don't do is go, well, do you know what you're doing is wrong? Now, if they say no, they don't know about God, then talk to them, ask them if they have time, be polite, and if they say no, all right, be like, all right, thank you. But if they say yes, they have time, then fine, talk to them. But what you don't do is when they say no, that they don't want to know about God, or if they say no, they do know about God, but they don't want to talk about it, you don't keep going. And it also has to do with a perfect time and perfect place. It doesn't matter if it's a child that you're asking, if they know about God, if it's a gay man, a straight man. It doesn't matter who you're asking. There is a time and place. If you're at a store and you see a child walking around, don't just walk up to a child who is parentless at the point in time and ask them, hey, do you know about God? Like, a parent might think you're trying to kidnap their child. You know what I'm saying? Time is like, you're standing at a bus stop, someone's standing there with you, y'all got nothing to talk about, they may look like they may want to talk, ask them, they got time, they're sitting there. But if they turn you down, leave it at that. Because there is such a thing as sinning unknowingly. Turning someone away from God is just, that's bad. That's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's bad. I don't remember where I found it, but there's a verse that talks about that kind of thing. It's almost, I guess, kind of like two sins in one. Is you can turn people away from God, from shoving it down their throat or shoving it in their face or whatever. Anyway, but my main thing is that when I saw that post, I was just like, I am so tired of people. And it's so weird because I used to worry about how I would behave in front of other people because I didn't want them to think that I was uncouth. Not that I cared what they think, but I cared what my parents were going to say to me. If someone were to report to them how I acted or whatever. And because I know my parents might care what people think, as a kid. You don't know because you don't really ask them, but you just wonder. And so you try to behave for other people, and then your parents are like, how come you never behave for us? But anyways, so I always acted differently when I was around other people. I behaved, and I didn't speak much. Plus, I'm shy. I'm not shy talking to my phone, obviously, but I am shy around other people. And I always, was wondering when I would talk to someone, I've always been a good judge of character. You can normally tell when someone, tends to be a person who goes to church or who doesn't. And you never know 100% though how good a person is and how often they're good. You can just tell in general if a person is a good person to be around or not, or if they're healthy to be around or not. There are people I know that are good people. They're good people to be around, and they're healthy influences because I'm an adult. Now, maybe for children, they're not the greatest examples because children are impressionable. And as a child, when you see these people, you think, oh, these are good people because, they may go to church or whatever. But the truth is sometimes when you're a child, you can still hear people slip up and say things you would think that would never leave their mouth. You would hear them judge others, and you're just going to be sitting there like, did you hear what she just said? Or did you hear what he just did? And, it just blows your mind. And you're just like, of all the people. And they're some of the holiest people who try to practice, and they're so overly holy rollers that they end up being so pious that it makes them not as Christian as they should be. It has the opposite effect. And so my point is, basically, it's about the right amount. Be a Christian, but be the right amount. Don't be this hardcore Bible thumper, always trying to shove religion down everybody's throats, trying to find every second to just talk about God is amazing. Yes, God is great all the time. Yes. But the thing is, not everybody believes in God, and not everybody wants to believe in Him. And all you can do is try. But when they resist, leave it alone for a little while. Casually bring it up. Not what I mean by that is, if it's someone you're going to run into again, you can talk about it again eventually, but don't bring it up in a couple seconds or even the next day. Like it's all about timing, like I said. If someone doesn't believe in God and you absolutely feel like you have to let them know about God, here's one thing. They need to feel comfortable with you and comfortable talking about it with you. So if they don't know you, obviously they're not going to really talk to you about it. And you need to learn cues. If you don't know social cues, then what business do you have anyway trying to talk to people about stuff? Because you might get the wrong signals across. And you need to make sure you know your stuff before you're trying to go talk about it anyway. But it's all about timing. Like, if you talk to somebody, wait till there's like a moment of silence and be like, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Don't just be like, so where do you go to church? Actually that probably is the better thing to start with. Be like, you go to church around here? This is if you don't know them. If you know them, be like, talk about your church first of all. Be like, have you ever been to such and such church or whatever? You need to compliment other people's, like, if they do go to church, then just compliment it and then drop it, because obviously they go to church. But if they don't go to church, you can talk about your church and be like, well, where do you go to church? And if they say they don't go to church, be like, oh, okay. You should go to my church sometime. You're totally invited if you want to go. And then afterwards we can go grab dinner. I'll pay. And then right there, kind of read their behavior. If they're like, that means they probably just don't want to go to church. But if they're like, okay, then wait. That gives you an opening. Read their behavior. If they're kind of like, be like, what, you don't like church, or you just don't like religion, or you just don't like people? And if they're like, I just don't like church, I'm not into the whole religion thing, be like, oh, that's cool, be like, I respect that. And then be like, ask them why. But if they feel like if it feels like they're shoving you off, though, drop it for now. You can see them later, become friends with them on Facebook, invite them out some other time, hang out. But don't make every time you hang out with them about religion, okay? And you know what? We'll save the cues for another time, because I really didn't want to go into the cues. Just know, stop shoving religion down people's throats, okay? That is one of the things I wanted to talk about. Just, you need to learn cues of the proper time and place to, like, insert things like that. Mostly, I just want to tell people tonight, just stop judging other people. Stop judging people unless first of all, although all sins, maybe in God's eyes, are the same and equal, here on earth, I am human, and the inner human part of me does say all sins to me are equal except for one, and that's murder. And torture to me is a little bit higher than murder, because torture is just, it's drawn out murder is what it is. But I need a sip. It's hot. Okay. Yeah, it needs to air out. It was so hot a while ago. But I've been trying to get it to coat my throat because of all the hums that I have. Anyway, so torture is drawing out murder. Things become less socially acceptable than other things. And murder, period, is not a socially acceptable anything. I've always preached to friends and strangers about the rule of positivity and negativity. Since not everybody believes in religion, then we can all at least agree on the power of positivity and negativity. It's happened enough from the dawn of time. People have tend to do the same types of things, whether it be hunting, eating, fishing, swimming, hitting someone, fighting over the same things like women, a mate in life, or children. We've done a lot of things enough and tested out. We didn't know we were testing, but our ancestors have done these things often enough that over generations we can kind of see how it affects those of us around us. So we'll just call it a test, but it's not a test. It's just life. So we see over time how things affect other people. We know that if I hit Johnny, per se, it could make his nose bleed. There goes my clock. My brother got me. Anyway. Yeah. My cat hates it. Anyways, we know that if we punch Johnny, he could probably get a nosebleed. We just know that that's a negative thing. Nosebleeds lead to tissues needed. Nosebleed turns to, blood vessels popping, and it brings on pain. So we know that this is a negative thing. When we assign the word negative a definition, it became something, and it has a meaning now. When we assign the word positive over time, when man made language, he assigned certain things words, and words now mean things. And we know that negative is something that's pretty much not good or unwanted and not pleasant. And positive is normally going to be something pleasant or good for you. I'm not speaking like in the math form. I'm speaking in the human sense. Anyway, of cause and effects, basically. So anyway, we know that certain things have positive and negative effects. And since not everybody believes in religion, that's why I use the positive and negative effect. We know that sleeping with people before marriage could be negative. It is negative in a lot of ways. We're doing something with someone. We have no clue 100% if we're going to marry them. You can't guarantee that unless you actually made it to the altar with them. Now you know. You can't guarantee they're always going to stick around with you and raise the kids if you end up having kids. It's just not positive. Because if you keep on giving yourself up to someone that you're not promising to marry to, then you're just setting yourself up for that's okay. And that it's okay to be used in that way. You need to only be giving up to people that you are going to marry or have said yes to. It's honestly the best way to do it is, and I'm being reasonable, I'm being realistic. I know probably 80% of the population is not going to wait till they're going to get married. So I'm being realistic here. At least have been engaged to them. At least wait till you are engaged and have spoke about marriage and have started planning things out. At least wait till then. At least be realistic about it. If you haven't even thought about marriage with this person, honestly, why are you still in a relationship with them to begin with? As someone who is a serial monogamous, when I'm with someone, I commit. I come from a long line of people who commit, and I've been around a family oriented type of family who, yes, we got black sheep, but guess what? We still love on them. We still call them up for get togethers. We still talk to them, associate with them, whatever. That's how families should be. You still take care of your kin. Now, I don't even remember where I was going with that. That's why I get sidetracked to start talking about another thing. That's why I said the whole a time and a place thing. That's why I had to drop that, because I knew I'd get sidetracked. Anyway, I know what I was talking about was basically say no to just giving whatever up. Oh, because it was positive or negative. Obviously, that's a negative thing. If you're just giving yourself up all the time, that's a negative thing. It has a negative outcome effect, because majority of the time, every guy you're sleeping with, obviously you're not going to marry every guy you're sleeping with. And that becomes, now you become numb to sleeping with people. Now it becomes normal and you're just giving yourself up. Me, I was the kind that I wanted to wait. I am the kind who wanted to wait. I just know that you can't be in love with everyone at the same time and it work with everyone that you're in love with. I'm realistic. My strength is that, I can at least say, is logic. And because I know as a kid, I had a crush on everybody. There were big crushes, and then there were small crushes. There were just, oh, he's cute, and then there was like, man, I want to be his girlfriend type crushes. But I knew early on, like, what love was, because I'll never forget, like, the first boy I ever fell in love with. I stayed in love with him for years, and I don't even think he knew, but, then I finally gave that up, because, I finally saw him with someone, he looked happy, and the realistic part of me said, you know what, you gotta move on. So I waited, met another boy, had not planned on dating him, was just talking to a friend. Next thing I know, he asked me out. After we had this long conversation, I found myself like having all these feelings again, and I just knew instantly that we were going to be something. Before he asked me, I just knew it. And then when we finally met, I was like, yep, gonna marry him. In my head, that's what I said. But what it was in reality, my brain is telling me, you're going to be something. He's meant to be something with you in life. So, first of all, we know that you don't need to give it up to everybody. That's a negative thing. And another thing I want to say is a negative thing is dating. What this generation calls dating is not necessarily actually courtship. It is literally just going outside, meeting this person, going somewhere, hanging out them for a known amount of time, and then going home. That was a date. The point of dating is to see how you interact with each other and see how you get along. And here's the thing, you can do that on a phone. You can court over the phone. Speak to them before you even ever go out on a date. You need to have a conversation. You should know within about an hour or so where this is going. And if you don't know 100%, leave it alone. Now, given if you didn't have enough time to talk, that's one thing. But if you've spoken for several hours now, and you are hooked, this is going somewhere, obviously. Now we date. Now we get to learn about each other and see how we are together. Because you may not go together. You may be like oil and water. But if you can't stand to talk to them too long and they just bore you to death, there's no point in even calling that person. They need to have your attention. You need to be able to stand them. You need to be able to be wooed by them. And trust me, if they have it, they'll have it when you finally talk to them. It's going to be there. That's the positive thing about knowing what love is and everything. But anyway, get back to judging and not judging. I'm sorry, I'm one who gets sidetracked about things sometimes. But getting back to the original thing, I just want to ask Christians to quit judging others. Don't worry about how someone raises their children. If it's not, if what they're, when you see a mom or a dad, if they want to spank their child, go, is this a positive thing for that child or is this a negative thing? Well, it depends on what the child did. Obviously, if the child's just scribbling on the wall and it was the first time, be realistic. Do you just go whoop the child? No, because A, you didn't talk to them first. Tinker, please stop. And you never know how mom is at home. She could be the most loving, or dad at home, but when they're out in public, maybe they're just trying to keep their kids in line. You don't know. But nowadays it's pretty much illegal to whoop your own child. But just know that before you judge someone, look at the whole situation. If they're whooping their child, first ask yourself, did you hear if she's asked them not to do it before? Did she already get onto him before? You don't know. So if you don't know, stay out of it. Now, when you do intervene, is when they're beating the snot. And I mean full-on force to where it could break something like a rib or make them bleed. Obviously, that's abuse. But what isn't abuse is discipline. And also, keep your discipline below the face. That is so disrespectful to slap a child or to hit a child in the face. They will not respect you later and they could probably end up hating you. It is degrading to hit anyone in the face. Just keep your discipline below the face, please. That's a negative, trust me, a negative effect. Also, okay, so don't judge parents. That's one thing. Don't judge a homeless man if you don't know what they're going through and you don't know how they got there. They could be on drugs, they may not. Maybe drugs is not what led them there. They could be totally sober and homeless because A, they were a veteran or whatever. So the next time you're driving around, I've met some cool homeless people who have stories. Sometimes the family dies, they were the only one. They had no money saved up, they lost their job. When too many things in life get you down and they get you in a hole, there's no way to get back out. You don't know how to get yourself out of this hole. Sometimes people give up. Then no one wants to help them. Communities aren't like they used to be. Granted, I hate that when people say, I wish it was like it was back in the day, and then other people are like, oh yeah, you want it to be like it was back in the day. It was so simple. Men were abusing their wives and children were getting raped by their daddies and couldn't say nothing. That's not what we mean when we say we wish it was as simple like it was back in the day. We didn't say we wish we were socially quieted, like we were back in the day. We want the positive parts. There was more positive back in the day about simplicity of how to handle situations. Yes, a lot of more people back then, women-wise, did not find their voice yet. Yes, that will come later. Obviously, that's not the part of back in the day that we want. What we do want is the simplicity of leaving people alone and knowing when and when not to step into things and when it's not your business, when it is your business. Obviously, nothing is your business unless someone is getting hurt, physically harmed right now, or killed. Other than that, it is not your business to interfere. Hurting people's feelings is not your business because that is not physical damage, and even though sometimes emotional damage could be just as bad, still, people are their own person. And even though someone is emotionally trying to damage them, maybe not purposefully, but that person getting yelled at or called names to, they still their own person and they can still choose to either let it affect them or let it not. Whereas physical abuse does do damage whether you want it to or not. You can wish all day you didn't want it to hurt you, but it's going to. Whether it's about how you build people up. Emotional damage, only it damages you if you allow it to. That's the difference. That's why they say sticks and stones might break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Some people it does. Because you know what? Some people are babies. Some people allow words to hurt them because they think words hold, value, I guess. Words do not hold value when used in anger. What really means something to someone is when someone is soberly and calmly and clearly telling you something, not affected by emotion. Someone just talking to you, shooting the breeze, being real with you, that's when words hold value. Is when it's been thought out and it's not out of anger and emotion. Because in anger, I will say anything. I will say a lot of things out of anger. Do I mean any? No, it doesn't hold value because it was held out of what vindictive thing can I say to tick this person off. That's why I cannot understand why people are so offended by everything. Like, obviously you don't get that words should not hold value, period. They don't. So go ahead, stop being offended. Why are you allowing them to offend you anyway? I don't get it. But anyway, so don't judge people just how they treat their kids in public if it's just verbal. All you need to worry about is how they're treating their kids physically. If they're popping them on the hand or popping them on the butt, it's below the face, leave them the hell alone. It's not your business. Stop judging them. Quit reporting everything. It is not your business. Christian or not, actually. That one wasn't just for Christians. That one's for everybody. Stop judging parents. Now, gluttony. Let's just go through all of them. Gluttony. I am a glutton for drinks. I am not fat because I overeat. I had a healthy appetite as a kid. I grew, though. I was thick, but I wasn't ever really fat. I got fat in my early 20s because I quit exercising. I used to jump on the trampoline, ride a bike, hike in the mountains. I used to live in the mountains. In this small little town, we had hills and rocks. We'd climb, walk, get up trees. Me and a friend of mine. I stayed active even to my late teens. Up until the day pretty much I met my back then boyfriend. I quit using the trampoline. I quit riding my bicycle because I was always going to visit this person. So now we're just hanging out and we go out to eat or whatever. So as from there on out, then I started, getting fat. I quit becoming active. So, and I hate when people judge people who are, getting thick or fat because they think, oh, and I cannot tell you how many times I've had somebody walk up to me and go, darling, you really need to worry about your weight and you really should start eating healthy. I know this great new program. And I'm sitting here like, and it used to take everything in me. Now I'm just like, oh, no. I go ahead and cut them off now. Nuh-uh. And I let them know right now, look, don't let this fool you. I'm not fat because of food. You just have to go on and say that. I'm not fat because of food. I'm fat because of beverages and because I'm lazy. I mean, technically I'm not lazy, but that's just what I say because that's a more acceptable answer to them. And I hate that people judge fat people because they're like, oh, you overeat, you probably eat this and that and that. Honestly, you want to know, I eat 1 to 2 meals a day. Usually it's, when I get up in the morning, I don't eat. I can't. Half the time I'll just gag because it's too early. My throat's too dry. I snore with my throat wide open. And since my milk intolerance became stronger over the years, I pretty much have cut out breakfast. Now when I get up is when I normally want something to eat. However, now that I'm married, I am too lazy to make it for myself. I'm like, nobody's here but me, so obviously I'm not going to cook. But I'm not one for TV dinners and trays because they tend to be frostbitten. And I am a very picky eater. I don't like the flavor of frostbitten food. Therefore, we don't buy TV tray dinners. So, I did try one time to start counting calories. Now, one problem I do have is calorie counting. I may eat 1 or 2 meals a day, but let me tell you, son, those 1 or 2 meals could be something like a cheeseburger, which has probably got 1,000 calories in it, And then I may have some tater tots or fries. It may be a small fry, but you don't realize how much calories are in the grease and the potatoes. So, even though I don't overeat, I know that my calories, the thing is normal people who are active could eat that. But you've got to take in account when you're not active, you can't have those calories. So people don't realize what I'm going through, what I'm doing wrong, and what I'm doing about it. So people don't realize that I don't actively go anywhere. I'm always home. I'm a housewife. People don't realize that they don't take that into account, that that 1 or 2 meals that I have just has more calories than more than how active I am. So that's why I hate that I'm constantly, and it could be a total stranger, and half the time it is, normally actually it is a total stranger that just walks up to me and feels like there's something in them that just has to tell me that I should try this diet. Even on my Instagram, I have people who sell weight loss stuff constantly trying to add me because they obviously see that I'm fat. And I cannot tell you how many times I have people that just shove that in my face. Just like religion. When you shove diet things in people's faces, A, they don't want nothing to do with you. Because we know it exists. It's not like I've never heard of dieting. It's not like I've never heard of exercise. I've heard of it. Stop judging us. Obviously, we're fighting something. Me, my personal fight is trying to find the energy and the willpower, the want to do something. I know what it would take for me to lose weight. It would take having someone who I trust. First, it would just be this, I don't want to hang out with anybody unless I trust them, I've gotten to know them, are comfortable with them, and just want to be around them all the time like I do with my husband. Like, A, I would have to find someone I feel that way about. And then B, it would take that person to want to go exercise with me. I don't want to go sweat my nuts off alone in a gym, being stared at by all these guys trying to work on their already 2-story muscles. Like, I don't want to do that. Or it would take B, me having my own gym, and I ain't got the money for that. So, just know that some of us know, we know what diets are. Quit judging us. We understand we're fat. We get it. We know that there are diets. We know they exist. We know that what we should be doing, we could be doing better for ourselves. Just something is lacking, and we can't get there just yet. We're trying, okay? I know what it would take for me to lose weight. I just don't have that yet. There are times I do have it, and I'll start to lose weight. And then maybe he doesn't feel like doing it right now and exercising and going to the gym. And then we slip out of it. Now I'm back to square one. So, because I have lost weight. I've lost 50 pounds in 2 months. I lost 20 pounds in 2 months one time. But I gained it right back. Because I quit going and I go back to not exercising. So anything I eat again just stays right there with me. So, stop judging fat people. You would be surprised how many of us don't overeat and we just get fat because we're simply just not moving. We're not going anywhere, so everything we eat, our body keeps. That's another thing I need you to quit judging people. Now, another thing to quit judging people about. Laziness. Sloth. Like, I get that it's a sin. Again, everyone sins. Let's be real. Someone's sleeping with someone before marriage. Someone's cussing like a sailor somewhere. Someone's over drinking. And that's another thing. You have no room to talk about someone else's sin if you were over there getting drunk every Friday night or sitting in bars. Because it's not a sin to drink necessarily. In moderation, it's all about moderation when it comes to drinking. I have not found anywhere in the Bible where it talks badly about drinking. Jesus did turn water into wine, yes, but it was meant, the wine that he made, obviously, and what man makes, 2 different types of wine, first of all. Ours has sometimes a little extra stuff in it. Sometimes ours is meant to be a higher content of alcohol. And you got to realize that a lot of times what they considered wine would literally be like strawberries that's been sitting out fermenting for maybe a day or so. And they did not add yeast and all that to promote the fastness, whereas man does stuff like that, and actually that can make it stronger alcohol. And you weren't supposed to drink the sweet wines. It did mention about staying away from sweet wines. Now, however, it was a sin to get drunk. And people will sit there and judge how a man's over here sleeping with Bobby, and then this girl over here, she strips at a bar, a gentleman's club down the road, and he'll be sitting there drinking them beers, get drunk, and then try to drive home. Like, who are you to judge a ginger over there trying to work her thing on a pole when you just got drunk and tried to drive home? Nope. I just want people to understand they're not getting it. You're judging people. Practice not judging people. The moment you start hearing yourself go, oh my God. The moment you hear, oh my God, goes, stop. Just start tapping. Tap yourself. Snap you out of it. Me, I cuss like a sailor. I try not to. It is my thing that I do. When I was younger, I would smoke cigarettes. Not healthy for my body. It's a negative thing, obviously. But when I moved here, I did quit smoking. But you know what? I started cussing more. I have nothing to vent. I have nowhere to vent, obviously. So when I get mad, I tend to revert to that. All the words that I learned as a kid. I'll tell you one thing. I hate reading. I absolutely hate reading, but I love to write. But what I did love to read is information, facts. I love reading, like in the Bible. I like reading more than anything the dictionary. And thesaurus and encyclopedias, even a physician's desk reference. Love those things. I love learning, and I like to know more about other things. But anyway, I guess that's why as a kid I like to watch adults. I like to learn how they, interact, their social behavior, their social cues, just the whole psychology thing too as well. Just I love learning. I need as much knowledge as I can. Couldn't get enough of it. No matter what though, no matter how many big words I knew, when I get mad, I'm the dumbest person in the world, because now I revert to the few four little words that I can say when I'm ticked. So I know when I was younger, I started hearing adults who think that you're not listening talk bad about someone over here, or even, man, my parents didn't really, have much negative stuff to say about anyone. They're pretty much realistic. Not as realistic as me. But no one's perfect. But I do know that pretty much their own thing was, a lot of people talk about other people. Mine only talked about us. They were pretty good about not talking about other people. And maybe that's why I didn't really talk about other people as well. Now, granted, there are times when you can talk about people that it's acceptable, that when it's not gossip. Like, say you're friends with someone, your friend is going to talk to your other friend, and that other friend is going to talk to this friend. You're all going to talk about each other. That's the only time it's acceptable, and it's not technically gossip, because we're all going to get it back to each other. But when it is bad and not positive, I speak before I can even get my brain to interpret my own words and thoughts. But when it is not positive and when it becomes negative is when someone who did not want their name in your mouth, or who unknowingly is going to have their name in your mouth, and you decide to make their business your business, and you talk about them or judge them on something that you have no business judging them for, especially when you do something equally as bad and you don't even remember that. So, part of what I need people to do, if you claim to be a Christian, even if you don't claim to be a Christian, please still follow this, but more importantly, don't say you're a Christian and then sit there and live like this in a judgmental, pair of glasses and look at other people like you're better than them. Because you're not. These people who are sinning sometimes happen to be the most realistic people that I know. And they will tell you like it is. And I have people that won't even speak to me. Sometimes they'll look at me and be like, her, she's no good. That girl just talks out her butt. I can feel my throat getting dry. Ooh. Still hot. But I can put the lid on now. My nose is starting to run too. Anyway, I've even had friends and family members and both who I've known 15 to 30 something years, whether it be friends, normally it's going to be around 15 years, the family it'll be 30 plus years, but I've even had family and friends who have dropped me and don't talk to me, and they're like, don't talk to her, she's no good, she's a bad influence. I know that's what they're thinking, and some of them have flat out said, she's stupid, she doesn't know what she's talking about, no matter what situation it is. It could be something religious, it could be something political. They could say I'm just a bad influence, period. Thing is I'm not. They say that because they live their life a certain way. And I live my life in the open. So there's nothing hidden. I say what I feel. I don't hide it. Because even though it may sound negative, it's really a positive thing. People cannot read your mind and look up your butt. They have to know what you're thinking. And sometimes you may say too much. And they can stop you from saying things. But for the most part, being truthful 100% of the time is going to be a more positive thing than it will ever come close to being a negative thing. It may get you to lose friends, which I have. But in some ways, that's a positive thing. It showed me who my real friends were. Because those real friends talk to me the same way. And I get that same respect. And we can argue and fuss and fight. But at the end of the day, we trust each other. And we respect each other. The ones I lose are ones who apparently were fake to begin with. Weren't being truthful with me. Weren't being honest. And honestly, weren't ready to be 100%, with the world. Weren't really being Christians like they should be. They may be now. I don't know. I can't know because I don't talk to them anymore. They dropped me, remember? So, but they have to learn that for themselves. And sometimes that's the best thing is for them to burn bridges, even though you're probably the bridge, before they find themselves. And it's going to be healthy for you because they were being negative to you, bringing you down, calling you names behind your back, even though you didn't know it. And subliminally, you were going to be affected mentally in some emotional way. They were probably not treating you as good as a good friend should. So it's always positive to be truthful. Life may get rid of people out of your life, and it may look negative, but in the end, it's going to be a positive thing. And sometimes they ask for it. And you're just like, you know what? You need to quit stressing. You just need to let it go and not let it bother you. And that's what I started living by after me and my ex-husband split up. I started seeing life so much simpler. I realized I have anxiety. And I was letting it control me to the point that I just stress out so much. I worry too much. I'm an overthinker. I still am in some ways, but I'm not in a lot of other ways. I stress out about fewer things now than I did back then. Back then, I literally, when I couldn't sleep, it was because of my stress about overthinking. Now, when I can sleep, it's insomnia because I can't ever sleep or be active enough to burn energy to want to sleep. But, anyways, I started becoming this person who saw the world differently, and I've learned to let things go. All you can do is tell someone how you feel. This really took me off. This is what you did to me. This is why you shouldn't do it again. I hope you never do it again, and you can pray for them and whatever. But at the end of that conversation, you got to let it go. Just say your piece in a debate manner. The best thing you can do in life is go, is it worth arguing about? If it's not worth arguing about, why am I still arguing with them? If it is worth arguing about, what are we saying, and how can we say it in the best positive manner? And am I putting judgments in there, or is this facts? It needs to be based with facts. When you debate with someone, debate with facts, not emotions, and not with opinions. Unless it is a opinion debate. Otherwise, most debates, especially if they're political or religious, it's going to be a factual debate. Back your facts up. Find out why you believe what you believe, and then back it up. And then if someone calls you out, you learn something new. Don't be offended. Don't judge them because they called you out. Don't get mad. Just, you know what? I'll have to look into that. Thank you for telling me. And in the conversation, whatever. Anyway, the best thing to do, period. And what I don't get, some people say, well, not everything is about God. Actually, technically it is. Literally everything we do in this world is supposed to be about God. And I don't talk about God a lot, but I have been thinking about it more lately because people laugh at me because I don't talk about religion in day-to-day basis. And then when I'm finally around them and they're like bringing up something political, and then I end up bringing God. Well, this is not what Jesus would want. This is not how he would treat that. And they're like, what does that got to do with anything? Well, it has everything to do with everything. Literally everything is about God. So when you try, I get that law tries to leave out religion, but that doesn't mean you get to. Especially if you believe in him, you don't get to leave him out. It is your sole purpose to make sure he is involved in everything. Like this wall. I know I had a rant about that. Literally, why I believe in what I believe is literally because I say, what would God want to do about this wall? What would he say about his people he made? He didn't just make us. He also made Mexicans. Would he had made these laws? Would he had told you don't accept whatever? No. They said if someone wants something, you give it to them, and you give them more. You help them. You help them whenever you can, however you can, and more. Literally everything is about God. But that's here nor there. Anyway, because I don't talk about religion a lot, it throws some people off, because then they'll start laughing and they'll be like I said, what is that got to do with anything? And literally everything has to do with God. So what this is about is minimizing your judgments. You've got to minimize your judgments. You've got to, I know no one's perfect. We're all going to judge. I know I do it. I judge myself daily as well. And I know I've judged kids. I've judged animals. I've judged cars. I've judged everything. But I also get onto myself when I hear myself do it. And once I started that practice as a teen, like I said, it becomes easier. And you catch yourself and you're doing it a lot less and a lot less. No one will 100% ever quit judging. But at least if you try, you will train your brain to stop doing it so often. And you will see how life starts becoming more positive. Even though bad things will happen around you or to your home, or, bills will come up. No one said life is going to be perfect. Actually, the worst things get for you sometimes around you is because of two reasons. Either A, because you're not living how you're supposed to be living, or because you were living exactly how you're supposed to be living. Because normally, if you're doing bad things, you're going to reap bad things. Sometimes when you're doing really great things, sometimes the devil's going to mess with you. And he's going to keep coming and coming and coming because you're doing so well that he's got to try to weasel in and just tick you off. The people who seem to get it together are the ones who are not being real, who are not being 100% with themselves, who are not being 100% with their spouse. They're doing stuff dirty behind each other's backs. On the outside to the rest of us, they may look like they've got it together. They got everything they want. They've got their 2.5 children. They got their big old house. They can afford anything they want. They can go out, but deep down inside, something is wrong. Some of us struggle on the outside, monetarily. Some of us struggle on the inside with our soul. So just remember that. No one's perfect. Stop judging other people. I don't care that Joe over here is laying with Frank. That's not my business. I can, if they're friends with me, then I probably have asked them if they believe in God. And if they told me yes, I'll leave it at that. Because after that, that's not my business. It is your business to only plant a seed. It is not your business to judge. Especially if you have either had sex before marriage, had sex with the same sex yourself, if you've cussed someone out, if you steal things, if you do drugs, if you do any of those things, you have no business judging other people. If you are not perfect and not Jesus himself, you have no business judging other people because you are no better. I don't care what you think. Literally, you are no better. All sins are the same. So quit focusing on these certain type of people who do certain sins. It's either all the sins or none of the sins. You stop. Just stop it all together. Start training your brain to quit being so judgmental. Now, for those of you who don't believe in God, all I want to do is to ask you, if you don't believe in God, I don't care what religion you seek out, as long as it contains God and the Bible. Just listen to the words and take all the positive things as much as you can from it. Judge it for yourself. Try it out. See if it helps you. At least hear about him. Give him a chance. I promise you, when you try, things get better in a lot of ways. No one said your life is going to be fixed. God gave us trees. He gave us nuts, but it's up to you to crack them. Man made the nutcracker. How about you walk over that tree, go grab it yourself? We got to meet in the middle somewhere. Now, there are going to be people who come up to you, you not being a believer, they're going to ask you. All I ask is you realize there are some that are nuts. Some of us are realistic. So if the person seems realistic, be respectful, please. Listen to them. And at the end, be like, you know what? I thank you for your time. I appreciate you caring about my soul. Just say, I'm going to think about it. And leave it at that. Turn them down. But if they seem like they're a nut who doesn't take social cues, just forgive them. Okay? Sometimes some people just don't know any better. And maybe send this video to them. Tag them or something, Maybe they need to understand what they're doing wrong. Because there's too much of anything, even too much of a good thing, can be a bad thing. People can try so hard to be Christian that they actually become unchristian from doing too much things that they think they're doing right. When in reality, it's over the top. It's like a cup. There's such a thing as a cup of water. But if you keep trying to pour water in that cup, it's going to overflow and soon you're going to have a pool. You turned a cup into a pool. It's not the same thing anymore. There's such as the thing as, I want this, and then people take that and just throw it out the door. So, if you're not a Christian, and you come into contact with one of these people, all I'm asking you is also not to judge. Think of positive and negative. Treat them in the most respectful way. It's all about kindness and respect, y'all. Just be like, look, I appreciate what you're doing. I've heard about them. You know, maybe someday I'll try them out. But for now, I respect what you're doing, but I'm going to have to politely decline and just leave it at that. And those crazies will be like, all right. And then maybe they'll wake up. Maybe you can help also to fix some of these Bible crazy thumpers. You know, there's good thumpers and there's crazy ones. So I'm just asking you just to work with me. If you know someone who is one of those, send them this video over there. If you know a Christian who's a little too Christian, quote unquote, send this over there to them. Because somebody needs to hear this, I'm sure. Anywho, I guess I'll get to my other video. I was going to do a vlog today, so that's enough for this right now. I think I got my point out, even though it took an hour to do it. So, bye.